chest. That gets my whole body.
Okay, you don't.
Sometimes it pays to be right. We need to get that much higher. I don't need my torso and shit being shown. Me typing and stuff. Thank y'all. What up? I can't see. Oh, hey, I can see your stuff. Hey, Benny, what up?
Hold on, let me do one thing.
What's up, Dave? I'm about to go live on Periscope and Twitch too, so give me a second. We're running multiple cameras, and please share the stream. All right, we should be live on both Periscope, Twitch, Facebook. So here we go. We'll be out later streaming, but for right now, for the next hour or so, I'd like to have a semi-open discussion about current events, BLM-related things, taking questions from people. Hey, Whitney, how's it going? Some of you I have the ability to bring on camera. Some of you I don't. But if you're interested in being brought on camera and you're on Facebook, definitely let the mods know or say something, and we'll try and do that. Right? You got the hand thing going there?
Oh, don't worry. I'm doing something different.
No, I'm talking to myself.
Oh, you...
Yeah.
I was doing hands too when you said that.
Hey, Jeremy, what's up? Kellen? So, yeah, if you have an actual question for me, put the letters K, D, and W, and then your question, and that we'll try to keep track of that for you and ask legitimate questions. I'll go over real quick what I consider to be trolling. Any political slogans. I don't want to see Trump, 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 Biden, Biden, Biden. I don't care. Miss me. Number 2, repeating yourself 3 times in a row. Spam, buddy. All caps. Spam, buddy. Because then you're yelling at me and that's disrespectful. You don't need to yell. Okay? We all got that. The basics. All right. The most important fundamental rule in Streamworks is not that your opinion matters, but that you are entitled to have an opinion. That's not ours. That's not mine. That's not anybody's. And I like to provide an area for you to voice that. However, I'm working on my political, my hand gestures so that when I make it into, no. Here's the thing that matters to me. It's how you talk to people. All right. If you can't make your point in a fashion that is, presents the information without being demeaning to any of the types of things that people demean, or you know what I'm saying? Be respectful about it. If you think, for let's say, that apple pie is better than peach pie, and you say, well, here's my reasoning, because apple tastes better, because apple is a more common fruit, because I like red more than I like, that's cool. But if you say, fuck your fucking pie, bitch, apple rules, what up? I'm not trying to do all that, and if you try to say, oh, we all know that people that eat peach pie have a lower IQ and they tend to beat their women. We want to avoid that shit too. All that, no. Be respectful in your discussion, and we'll be open to having you here. Whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, left, right, centrist, no-ist, whatever, And that's all I got to say about that. Got some viewers out there. You guys got any questions? Let me know. And later on will be Kenton Park, covering what's going on there. Definitely put a K. Oh my God, I can't remember my sign language. A K, D, W before your question, and we will try and get to it. Please be mindful that there's a delay between what I'm seeing and what you're typing and then what I'm seeing again. So if I don't get to it quickly, Denny Axe, I see you. How do you walk the line between streamer and protester? That's a dope question. Let me address that first by saying I want everybody in here to either host a watch party or share the stream. These kinds of things should be open to as many people and as many types of positions as possible. Fair? Fair. Okay, so how do I walk the line? It's tough as fuck, honestly. I've had two notable occasions where I felt personally that I've crossed the line from streamer to protest. We'll start by talking about the streamer side of it, which is a little easier to define because protest is a very broad statement because you can protest something by not doing something. So let's stick with the one that's easier definable. Streamer, person who carries both the camera and the script and the bias, because the bias comes from what I say and what my mind thinks, and the bias comes from my hand to eye, because where I look and where I put the camera is my bias too. So there is no unbiased streamers, not unless they had 360-degree vision and it's on all the time. You're always going to be choosing where to point the camera. So people who try to say that streamers should be unbiased, that's really hard because you could be facing this way and something's going on over there. And if you move the camera, you got one camp saying you should be over here and you got one camp saying you should be over there. And everyone's trying to say that each one of those decisions is bias. Well, you're biased to this. So we can't really negate bias. So what we can do is offer solutions for that. I tend to narrate more than other streamers. I also let my personal opinions bleed out of my mouth constantly. That's like a negative and a positive for some people. And I get that. And I tell people straight up, mute my ass. Mute me if you don't want to hear it. And I'm not offended at all. I would mute me sometimes if I could. Fair? Fair. So I can't really get rid of the bias in my hand. So rolling with watching my stream is rolling with my bias. You're accepting the fact that I'm probably going to show you the things that you're interested in seeing given choice A, B, and C. That's how that works. That's why people like certain streamers. Some people like the action, so they fall to the streamers who are right up in there. Some people are information gatherers, and they like the streamers who show faces and go all up in people's business. And some people are interested in other perspectives that other different streamers offer. But it's all bias. You know, no matter how you slice it, thinly, fatly, and all the things in between. We can't really get rid of it unless, like I said, your 360-degree camera is on all the time. And I don't know anyone who's really rolling around with that, so everyone's got some bias. Now, there's obviously some that are very, very biased, and they're streamers / protesters. Or protest streamers. You know, you could get them into a bunch of different descriptions. I started out doing mutual aid and streaming. And then I later dropped the mutual aid because it became secondary to the streaming. And I took on more responsibilities about being what you were just asking about, a streamer. And what it means to me is showing the big picture as much as I can with my video, which is why I favor being at the back of the crowd, showing the numbers, showing the whole of it if I can, without compromising people's, desire for anonymity if they so desire it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pee in anyone's pool party, but I am trying to show the world that there's no burnt down Portland. There's no war-torn Portland. There is a block of incredibly smelly grass that's highly toxic to anything that used to live there, that's saturated with tear gas. And there are some boarded up extra buildings, which I show in my daytime streams, But as far as war-torn, you walk 2 blocks from the Justice Center, and it looks like everyday Portland with less homeless people. So, you know, that kind of thing is important to me because the image of the Northwest and Portland and, you know, the anarchist cities is tied to what we show. So that's what being a streamer means to me, is showing the big picture. Like I said, my personality, I'll never really try to squelch it. So I get that some people, that Streamworks isn't for them. And you know what? I'm not hating on you. The only reason I'm hating on you is for being disrespectful. I make mistakes myself, and sometimes I'm disrespectful to cops. And some of you like it, and some of you don't. And I get that. Again, you're entitled to your opinion. However, the difference between me and a lot of you is I am saying what I'm saying to the cop in person, and a lot of you like to say what you're saying to me over a keyboard. And so if you want to really talk about who's a man or who's an American or any of that stuff, try the approach of the person you're trying to tear down. Because I do stand there and I don't have my mask on most of the times, and I keep my face visible to the cops because I'm not scared to tell them what I think, because it's not a crime. Period. So, I'm going to try and scroll for the next question. I hope that I got it already pulled up.
Sorry, I'm ready for you.
All right, yeah, there it is.
I thought that was
Also, right now, I want to take a moment. First of all, a good portion of you are Americans. With that in mind, I would like you to throw a thumbs up and a heart for the love of your country.
You're getting on your stream. Boom, there we go.
That's all. I gotta raise
I was
it.
trying to help you because I couldn't.
Sometimes it slides down. That's the one.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you. And I don't mean to exclude every other country. I really meant, I should have phrased it, if you love your country, put up 1 heart and 1 thumbs up. You know, let's just not think about belief for a second and just think of, you know, this thing right here. I can get you on both cameras because I'm running 2 cameras. So if I look in the middle of 2 or I look cross-eyed, I'm doing 2 cameras. But yeah, there you go. Love your country, first and foremost. All right, let's get to this question. Dustin Moore, what do you think Portland residents can do to make Portland itself better? First of all, they can educate themselves. Everything starts with education. The additional information from, you know, reasonably accepted sources on topics that you just have ignored your life because you've never really had to deal with them. Portland is white as fuck. And if you live on 30th and not, you know, you may not understand anything about black struggle. You know, you live in the neighborhood that Beverly Cleary wrote Ramona and Beezus about, and all the fucking Henry Huggins books and the, you know, Ribsy the dog and all that shit. That iconic author Beverly Cleary wrote about the Portland neighborhood if you aren't even familiar with your Portland history. And, you know, read those books. They're as white as fuck because that's Portland. So Portland can educate itself and quit drinking the Kool-Aid of rhetoric. Because it's easy to say something, and it's a hell of a lot easier to buy a bumper sticker while you're at fucking Trader Joe's to say how left you are. But really, you need to put some verbs in that shit and quit using adjectives and adverbs, you know, and put some action into it. Even if it's simply just to educate yourself so that when it comes time to put your vote or your money where your mouth is, or maybe even your body and your presence, you know what and why you're there for. And not only are you able to, you know, understand what and why and all your reasons for being there, you can at least articulate them in a fashion to anyone who asks, because that shows that you've got a grasp of it and you're just not repeating some fucking shit, you know. And that's all anybody wants to hear, that you're talking to them, not at them, right? You know what I mean? And I gotta remember that you guys are over here. But yeah, people want to hear you believe what the fuck you're saying, you know. They may not even agree with it, but your belief in it will generally move people if it's genuine. And if you can articulate that, or if you're even willing to try, because you don't even have to be good at it, but a motherfucker who will sit there and try to tell you and just, you know, you see them just, man, they obviously feel some kind of way about it, and people listen. And that's what makes education infectious. And that's why, in my opinion, it's been treated so poorly in this country, because educated people have different options than uneducated people. And an uneducated person, you can predict their actions easier because they have a narrower definition of the world, and you can predict flight or fight, because you're reducing their world to two choices. Whereas the educated person understands delay, understands de-escalate, understands all the finer things that cause whatever situation you're in, the odds to change, you know, because you're educated that the buses start running at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I say educated, but this not really educated. That's more like socially aware. So you know that if the cops start fucking with you at 4:30, right, and the buses start at 5, you know that if you keep the cops talking long enough, the buses are all going to be going by, and they all got fucking cameras on the front of them. So whatever you're doing is going to get caught on film, you know. Whereas not having any confidence that that you might not die in vain at this police encounter, you might do something more rash as opposed to less rash. And that gets, accentuated and built upon by the reduction of choices available to the person in any given action. So that's what I have to say about that. I didn't catch the other part of the question.
Oh, sorry, Dashboard.
It's okay. I hope I got to the meat of your question. Education is the biggest step, and all steps stem out of that. I'm going to skip to the next question because I scrolled and I shouldn't have. And definitely share the stream, host a watch party. Thanks for coming. Streamworks. Again, we'll be out later streaming. There's a Kenton Direct Action tonight in Portland. And yeah, my camera stand does not like to, well, actually what you need to do is do this one and then let this one sink down and hit the thing, and then it won't go down any lower. I just realized it can do that like earlier. Yeah, I know, right? It's actually really good. All right, I got a question in front of me. Betty Gonzo, what up? Have you been in conflict with any counter protesters other than just cops? Yes. As a streamer, as a person holding a camera, I've had a couple interactions with people, and I'll assume or presume that you mean in a negative content. And yes, I've had one person try to umbrella me, and I don't think they realized. Let's just say they were very unaware of what they were doing and why. And when I talked to them about what they were doing and why, the whole environment changed radically, and apologies were made, and, no harm, no foul, fist bump, and we went on our way. That's de-escalation. A second time, I got approached by a group of individuals who wanted to ask me some leading questions about the stream while we were standing across from the Justice Center. And again, I just hit people with facts, and let their brain do the work. They had issues with me filming the shift change at the back of the Justice Center. Now, I'm standing at the corner, and the Justice Center doors are in the center of the block. And everybody is facing the doors. And I'm in the back facing, the crowd, showing, the big picture. And they made leading questions to me filming faces. And all this other stuff. So I clued them into the reality of the situation. If you're standing on fucking 3rd and Madison, there's about 11 cameras that are all better than mine that are all actively looking for your faces. So if you don't have your mask on at that location, you're not very bright if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Why would you do it right there without your mask on? A. B. If you did not have your mask on and you walked anywhere from 5 blocks from the Justice Center out, you've been videoed about 42 times on your way in without your mask on. So if you didn't walk out, you're worried about your faces being videoed, but you're not worried about the 52 stationary cameras on most of the buildings that occupy downtown Portland. But you're going to go after the streamer without really taking the time to view their content so that you can actually say, look, here, and here, we feel this is not necessary. And here's why. As opposed to just offering some broad stroke, fuck all streamers, you guys all suck, fuck you, you're the enemy. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry that you feel that my phone is providing data for the cops where the 52 stationary cameras are not. Yes, if I was a cop and I wanted to sow dissension, I would use as much video footage from streamers as I can to get them to fight each other. Why? Because they're gonna. Because the left tends to be self-correcting to a fault. We know this. So with that in mind, I appreciate what those who are against streamers are trying to say. And to a certain degree, I feel that a portion of us do cross the line. And that I believe a good portion of those that do cross the line aren't even out there for us anyway. So it's, again, a minority. Well, I guess with streamers, maybe I go 50-50. Because there's a lot of people out there just pointing at whatever. They're not streamers, but they are because they're holding a camera. They're not deliberate streamers, so to speak. They're just sightseers. And I think we get the sightseers wrapped up into the whole streamers thing because that's like a guy with a football calling him an NFL player. That's not the same thing. However, the damage is the same if they post it. So I get it. They're all streamers. That pushes the number to maybe 50-50, maybe 70-30, with 30 being the ones that do it closer to the, optimal way, so to speak. We're talking in, generalities here. So with that 30% trying to do it right, we have the majority actually giving us the bad name. And I'm thankful for the people that approached me having the sense of mind to actually listen to what I have to say. I might have some reverse privilege going on because I'm black. And they're going to get a pause if they're white saying something to me. And that pause gives us the time to actually engage each other and talk. And so far that's worked out well. The most disrespectful thing ever really done to me was by another streamer of poor character. I won't go into who, what, where, when, and why, but let's just say I reacted inappropriately, but appropriately. And that's enough of that. I'm going to go to the next question, though. Benny, I hope that answers your question, and thanks for watching. I'm scrolling down. Boom. Jennifer Lynn. Question. Someone on another stream accused you of nodding off during a stream. They have said you were doing drugs. They have also said you have had a drug arrest. This doesn't matter to me, but what can you say about this to clear it up? First of all, I don't have to clear up shit. First, straight up. So let's just squash that part. Second of all, if you did some homework, you could look up my page. I've been 100% transparent about my past from day one. There are no hidden secrets here. I have, on stream, self-said that I am an ex-con, that I am an ex-addict, and that I've been, ex-con means I've been to prison. So Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm not defined by my mistakes, and I don't think that you are either. Now, unless the mistakes are all you do, then that might define you, maybe. So maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know. But the point is that, yeah, I made some mistakes, and I'm going to guess that anybody who's reading or listening or watching has made mistakes too. I own my shit because that's part of my growth. Have I ever nodded off on stream? Well, let me explain to you my answer to that by showing you the selfie stick that I used to use. Because I don't have the kind of selfie stick that you can prop up until recently. I had one that you literally had to hold in your hand. It was a selfie stick. Literally, they just extended out. So for me to nod off, I would have to drop it, which means I'd have to be sitting down. If you look at 99% of my streams, I'm moving constantly. In fact, the bitch that's consistently most heard is, you need to get a gimbal because the shit is too shaky. So if I'm always moving and my stream's always rocking because I'm doing stuff, it doesn't seem realistic that I'm out there nodding off, which I will give you maybe one or two examples of what may be considered nodding off. Back pre-federal involvement, we were putting in 8, 9, 10-hour days out there. I was, from day one. So yeah, I would get sleepy because I would be out there 3 o'clock in the afternoon till noon sometimes. I would just get to go home, shower, and turn around and come back. So yeah, I drink a lot of 7-Eleven coffee. During the quieter times, I did try and take naps. If it was warm and pleasant enough and I felt safe, I'd catch it. I'd close my eyes. Was I nodded off on drugs? Absolutely not. The only drug that I've had in the last 2 years is marijuana and LSD, because I microdose for depression and anxiety. I take like a 1/16 of a hit liquid about twice a month, and it works wonders, by the way. If you guys are down with microdosing, I suggest looking up, psilocybin, which is a lot easier to regulate because you can grow it yourself. But that's a whole different thing. No. If I was the kind of person that felt I needed to prove anything, I could give you a drug test right now, or at any given point. It's not an atmosphere really conducive to anything other than smoking weed, even if I was in the mood to do something like that. Because what the fuck? You're at a fucking protest. This isn't a rave. I smoke weed so that I'm less apt to engage people in a hostile manner and more apt to be patient and use de-escalation as my first round of defense. So let's answer the question straight out. I have had a drug arrest. I have had probably 17 of them, because when you're a drug user in your addiction, you catch a lot of possession charges. So if you were to run my name, you would see a whole bunch of what's called a PCS2, possession of a controlled substance of meth. I used to smoke the shit out of some meth in the 90s and early 2000s. It's amazing that I have all my teeth and they're real, but Kev was a smoker. Kev got down to 150 pounds at one point in my life. Ashamed of all the shit that I did and all the burglaries that I did because of it that got me into prison to support my habit. And I caught a DCS for having quantity one day, and a scale and some money and some empty baggies. Well, that shit happens. I paid my dues. I did my time. I've paid 90-ish% of my restitution, and I don't know what else to say other than I work really hard at not being who I was in my toxicity, in my addiction, and if anyone has anything to say about that or feels some kind of way about that, that's on them, in my opinion, because as far as the rules of life that I've been given, you do your crime, you do your time. I've done my time and my probation and all that shit, And I should be allowed to move on and be a better person. And fuck anyone who doesn't think that, in my opinion. I'm going to have the thing scrolled because I'll fuck it up. To the next question. I hope that answered your question. Thank you. Yvonne Allison. What do we got here? Thank you for doing this. The first step to courage is being vulnerable. I agree. Owning that shit is very important. Definitely share the stream.
Other platforms.
What?
Tell them on other platforms.
Oh, yeah. So StreamWorks recently has basically went multi-platform. So we're rocking Twitch. Hi, Twitch users. We're rocking Periscope. What up, Periscope? We're also on Facebook Live. Hey, Facebook Live. And we're getting ready to rock YouTube. But we need you guys to go over there and push the subscribe button because we need to get to 1,000 before they will consider us being able to do what we want to do. And what we want to do is bring what we're doing. And as we grow with more potential streamers under the StreamWorks umbrella, the collective, then we can offer, a independent streamer, a great outlet, because streaming with us brings you guys a new perspective and gets their perspective out to an established base of people that cross all the demographics. Because I know from your guys' messages that there's Republicans out there watching this, there's Democrats out there watching this, there's socialists, there's communists, all across the board. Every different kind of ist has approached me in a message and said thank you in their fashion. So with that, you have the opportunity to engage in bridge building, figuring out how and what, the steps of whatever our goals are, etc. I hope that answers your question. Jennifer Lynn says, do you believe in doxing officers? Well, let me open this up. I'm going to ask you to pull up the definition of doxing, because my answer will depend on the commonly agreed definition of doxing. So we're going to start there because that's how you figure out what the answer is. I know what I think it means, but let's just type in doxing.
To search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent.
All right, will you hold that up? I'm going to read that. Ooh, baby. All right, so doxing. According to the Google search, doxing is the search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with a malicious intent. Okay, so if I say a cop's name and I'm live streaming, that's doxing. So, by that definition, I believe in doxing officers. Fair enough.
With malicious intent.
Well, that's the thing. Malicious intent is spinnable, right? I could say I don't have any malicious intent, right? Does that mean I don't? No. So, I do and have said cops' names on a live stream. Do I wish harm upon them? Only in the sense that you want people hurting you to stop hurting you. And if you understand the subtlety of that, then you understand what I mean. I'm only going to be fighting back while there's a fight to be had. And so if I feel that you're acting inappropriately, if I feel that you are not serving the community appropriately, if I feel that even if you say, let's ignore what's right or wrong, and let's look at the current rule set that cops are supposed to be following, they're still not doing that. If I feel that way, then I have no problem saying their name, because even by the current rules, they're overstepping their bounds. Not by the rules we want to exist, by the current rules, they're overstepping their bounds. Not by the idea, by the reality. So by definition, yeah, I believe in doxing cops. That's essentially what call-out culture has gotten us in the last, what, 10, 15 years, the rise of call out culture. I don't understand. I guess I don't understand it a lot because I don't have that vulnerability. All my stuff that makes me, vulnerable is public information. And I've done that to remove the vulnerability. The worst things about me already. I've been to prison. I'm an ex-con. I've got a criminal history. I use recreational drugs. And, for some of you, I'm black. So with all that on the table, I don't have to worry about shit. It's already out there. Secret's done. Call out culture, in my opinion, forced me to make that my primary mode of operation so that I don't have to fear a keyboard cowboy. I don't have to fear somebody who's all bark but couldn't be bothered to actually put some verb other than, digitally behind what they believe. Not downplaying that at all, because there's plenty of people out there that's their only method or that's their most effective method. I'm not downplaying them. I'm downplaying the cowardice behind people who just get on their keyboard or their devices to fuck with or bash other people. If I watch a cop hit someone too many times, I'm going to say something. If a cop, and as our law permits, does not present their number when asked in an appropriate fashion, that means respectful, then that tells me that they're not interested in following the law that's laid down for them. That gives me the okay to step across my personal line and say some shit to them on camera. I've done it a couple of times. Some people are happy with it. Some people aren't. Having been in Multnomah County as an inmate, there are some cops that I recognize out there. And by cops, I mean sheriff's deputies. When they come out, I'm like, oh, I remember you, and I remember you, and I know you. And, do a little research on Multnomah County Sheriff's Departments and do a search on, say, what was it? The group of deputies that got fired for all being in a gang and getting tattoos and almost killing many people coming into intake by neglect of medical services or by beating the shit out of them and letting them sit there. It was a big deal. Once you get in those doors, they did shit to people that wasn't cool. I worked the intake floor for 6 months as a inmate worker. I seen it. If I ever get arrested, I don't say shit to nobody. And I answer all the questions that I'm willing to answer, which is my name, my date of birth, and my address. And then I go sit the fuck down, and they'll call me when they're ready. Because you know what? Acting up in there is a straight ticket to medical crazy status, where they decided to put you in isolation, strip your clothes away, and wait for you to calm the fuck down, pending medical evaluation. Those are words you don't want to hear ever in there. Medical evaluation can be anywhere from 5 minutes later to 5 weeks later. Fuck that. All that scary tactic shit they use in movies about putting people away, that shit goes into effect when you're in custody, buddy, because the medical shit will hold up the legal stuff. Tell you that right now. You on suicide watch, you're not getting released. Let's put it in those terms. Let's get to the next question. I hope that answers your question, Jennifer Lynn. Shout out to Meridian. I saw that. Again, let's throw up 2 or 3 hearts if you're still with us. Thank you for being with us, sharing the stream. If you have any questions for me, put the K, the D, and the W before the question so that it'll stand out and we can find your question. There's also a delay between what I see and what you post, so remember that. Please be patient. And if I missed your question, just repost it with the KDW. If it's gone a couple minutes, I know my answers are lengthy. I'm a talker and I smoke weed, so that's where we're at right now. In fact, I'm probably going to smoke some weed right now. I'm going to smoke some weed in a second, as soon as I find the next question. Remember to put a KDW before the question so I see it. And if you missed your question, please repost it with the KDW. Thank you for all the hearts and the love. Loving that. I appreciate you. What's up? I think I've got mods in the Twitch who are looking for questions. So if you're on Twitch...
I have Twitch too. There's not really too many questions.
All right.
I haven't.
Oh, I see something. Something just popped up.
Because we have so many, we have to go down.
I know. That's why I asked people to re-ask, because we probably missed a bunch of them.
Okay.
Oh, boom, they're all in the book. Hey, Nikki from BC. Love that weed. How many times have I been arrested, Carol? It's hard to say. At the height of my addiction, because of the way the laws work in Portland, I have a day where I was arrested 3 times, and I didn't get 8 blocks from the Justice Center. They had at the time, and you Google this for the verification of my facts. In the 90s, they had something called the drug-free zone in Portland. It was downtown, and it mapped out an area that if you got caught with drugs, you could be excluded from that area of town. Okay, let's ignore the constitutional rights there, but you're just barred from a big area of town. Now, if you have to go to that area and you're not on your way to something, like literally just walking somewhere, if you stop for any reason, they can arrest you for criminal trespass, which, depending on the pettiness of the officer, is an arrestable offense. However, I get out of the Justice Center, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I ain't got no money. I got a check, because that's what they gave you back then, for like $4 or $5. I'm like, fuck, I got to see my PO at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'll just kick it down here and not go anywhere and then see my PO, right? Oh no, I walk down to the PO building, which is 6 blocks away, and I sit on a bench in front of there. I'm going to wait till I'm going to be the first person in there. I'm going to get this shit knocked out. Nope. Cop pulls up, what are you doing? I'm like, waiting for my PO's office to open so I can go in there and report. I just got out. Oh, well, you're in the drug-free zone. I get that, but all of the services that we use are in the drug-free zone. I don't have any money, so I can't get anywhere, so I'm just going to sit here. Nope. Back to jail I went. Guess what? They released me an hour and a half later. I still have to do the same thing. I go, well, they're not going to do it twice, are they? I walk my ass back to the bench. Then I think better of it. I sit at a different bench. Yep. Different officer, hour and a half later, rolls through, wants to know what I'm doing. Guess who goes back to jail? This guy. I got 2 criminal trespass that got dropped, but I went back to jail twice. So those are arrests. I got lots of shit like that. You know what I mean? Where you get in, they process you, and they cut you loose because it's bogus. But, it still ties you up. It still looks bad on your record. It still builds this image that you're this criminal. Because when anyone who runs a background check on you, they just see the amount of times you went in and out, and they form an opinion on that before they even really get to see how the system does that to people. Builds a credit. I have a huge criminal arrest record, but it's misdemeanor arrests because of just piddly shit. Aggressive jaywalking for crossing a street called Front Avenue, which had a dividing concrete median. It's a 4-lane, 2 lanes in each direction highway. I got a $500 ticket for aggressive jaywalking. They dropped that too. But I went back to jail for that for like 2-3 hours. So yeah, I got a jail record.
I got a question on Twitch for you.
I got a Twitch question. Woo! Fun with Nihilism. What's up? Also on Twitch, remember to put KDW before the questions. That way we know they're questions for me because we got people scanning. Thank you. I might not be. I got to remember to say that more often. All right. What have you seen any shift in the mood at protests since Brianna Taylor announcement? Yes. Let me hit this and we'll talk about this. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So let's call it an uptick. It's reignited some people's who were kind of straddling the fence about things because they were waiting on the decision. They were kind of pensive. They were telling themselves that that decision would come down. Those guys would be nailed, and this would be the beginning of this change. So there was a lot of people who hinged how they felt on that because, let's just say, fill in the blank reason. Because I don't want to make anyone feel bad or talk down to anyone because they have their reasons. That's not the point of the question or this discussion. We're just acknowledging that those exist. And people, for whatever reason, this is formed a period at the end of a sentence now as opposed to a comma, because we have a clear-cut case in many people's eyes on both sides and a clear-cut answer to that. And it's recent and it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's, it's caused an uptick. I would say that different people are showing up. We've had celebrities roll through. We've had semi-celebrity, and by semi-celebrity, I mean they might be popular and have millions of followers, but not be well known. So, in certain niches, like over 40, no one might know this person, but under 30, they might have bazillion followers. So I'm just trying to delineate between people who just everyone knows. These guys were showing up. I can't even remember the guy's media outlet, but I recognize his face. He looks like the dude who does the Zombieland, the kid who did fucking Zuckerberg in the Facebook movie. The guy looks like that. One of them is spiral froze, and he wears a suit jacket that's like fashionably pink or something with the fashionable wide. Yeah. We've seen Belushi was here the other night. I mean, he has a pot farm up here in the farm area. Yeah, I've seen an uptick. Jim Belushi. I've seen an uptick in outside interest. I've seen a re-motivation of people locally. I've seen just the people who were already on that page, just that extra clench in their teeth now that just motivates them that much more to to do the things that they do. So yeah, I've seen an increase. I've also seen an increase on the oppositions on the same level. That decision gave them more. So in my opinion, in the big picture, that decision just did more to split both sides and caused them to be more extreme for reasons unknown. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. We won't get into that.
We had a question about weed earlier. What are you smoking?
What am I smoking?
I think it was Denny again. Denny X.
Blueberry Fire by Urban Farms, baby.
Where we get it,
I fuck with Floyd's right now. Floyd's has like the best selection that I've seen in the last couple months of weed at all the various price points. I'm talking about your budget stuff all the way up to your top shelf, to your CBD, all that stuff, man. Floyd's at a great price point, budget highs, but no budget highs, if you understand what I'm saying. All right, next question.
There was a one up here.
Shout out to anyone I missed. What do you think about Antifa threatening streamers of color, i.e. Saul? It's tough. Again, I kind of addressed it earlier, and I'll remind people, if you have a question for me, put a KDW, whether you're on Twitch or Facebook. I'll be honest. I try to stay out of streamer issues like that as much as possible. All of us have our own issues, so to speak, and at the end of the day, we're still supposed to be a community, whether we agree on stuff or not. And that's how I see it. I don't know what Saul's been accused of doing, and I don't know what the opposition is or isn't at fault for. I have heard about it, but I'll keep it real. Every day that I go out and deal with this is like picking off a scab of a wound that isn't healing correctly. So with my own personal trauma, the trauma of just 2020, and now this on top of it, I don't have a lot of spoons to go digging through, that kind of thing, unless it affects me and my safety. That's why I'm aware of it, and that's why I said earlier that I ask any of the people that have issues to come talk to me. I generally am only violent if you get violent first. That's how I roll. I'm defensive minded because I'm an ex-con. It puts you at a defensive mind first because, you don't want to get put in a category that's not your MO, so to speak. I was known for possession of controlled substances, not for violence. I don't have any violence on my record. I had possession charges and property crimes during my addiction. That was my thing, non-person-to-person stuff. I love to engage people, and I can get excited and hyphy and what's considered triggered now. But at the end of the day, I'm a shake hand and, agree to disagree kind of person. Unless you put your hands on me or mine. And then the rules change now because I can, as a black person, you learn to live with a lot of disrespect and just kind of shrug it off. And so when applicable, I can do that. And I like to do that on a lot of things because I don't want to be that nitpicky guy, But on some things, it's unacceptable. And that may be the ex-con in me. I don't know. But, don't put your hands on me unless you expect me to respond in kind. And if you do, you should not put your hands on me because I'm not going to respond in kind. I'm going to solve the problem. Whether that's me leaving or you leaving or whatever the solution is for what needs to be done right there. I'm a problem solver at heart. It's what I do. There's no shame in losing an honest fight. I've lost many honest fights, and I come from the age where you could get down with somebody over some differences and then walk away, and y'all might have a beer or something later. That's not the point. The point of your question was because I got stoned. Yeah, I don't like the publicity involved surrounding the question and the threats to Saul. I haven't read any of his responses, so I'm paraphrasing a paraphrase of a paraphrase, but I don't also believe that, flaunting that you have a potentially life-ending solution as a solution is the way to go either. So let's just say that both sides could have done things a little bit differently for probably a better solution for everybody. But isn't that really the case for most things? Be better. That's all we can do. What did I do before this? All right, so by trade, I am a DJ of 20-something years now. God, this year has stretched out so long that stuff I used to know off the tip of my tongue. I've been a DJ since 1990. Before, during, and after my addiction and the criminal lifestyle that, I briefly led. I also am a hardware technician. I have some construction. I'm a certified flagger. I was a glazer at one point. Club manager, event promoter. Before COVID, immediately before COVID, I was full-time at a paint store, part-time DJ at a couple strip clubs, And then I had security jobs that I was doing for events. So I was kind of working 2 part-time, 1 full-time job right before shit hit the fan. So, you know, when people try to diss on us for using the unemployment that we earned because we worked, it breaks their little mold because, oh my God, how can you believe what you believe and not just be an unemployed living off the system? I'm like, well, you know, fuck you for being so narrow-minded that you think that everyone who's a protester doesn't have a job. It's just the most ignorant shit I've ever heard. I don't even get where that comes from. Why would that even be correlated or related to the one thing, you know? But anyway, that's not how the brain works. Next question. Oh, hey, if you're looking to ask a question, put the KDW in front of it. That way we know it's a question. Thanks for watching. Share the stream. We're on all the platforms. Mods in both groups will put our our website info. Definitely come find us on YouTube and subscribe. We need to hit that subscriber mark so that we can get all of this out on all the platforms and you know, make this multi platform. I'm going to take a hit and answer this next question. Very tasty. Heather, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. Megiesi. Megiesi? No, Megiesi. Megiesi. Maybe the Y is silent. You'll let me know if I got that right. You may have covered this already, but I saw a news flash that PPB, who were federally deputized, will keep that status through the end of the year. Do you think this is so they can get around the tear gas ban? I have no idea. That's the first that I've heard of that.
It is going to be. That's right.
So that they did.
It's going to, when they get deputized, it's for a whole year.
The deputization is for the whole year, but this weekend's workaround on the tear gas was a state mandated. Kate Brown
Emergency.
gave Portland City a state of emergency, allowing them to get around the ban. I'm not sure if you're referring to that or just the Oregon State Police being federally deputized in order to get around the tear gas ban. Or both of them, which, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a workaround. I don't know if it's primarily to streamline things or primarily to shift the source of funding available, you know, because once you involve the feds and stuff, things change. You know, it allows the threat of arrest to carry a lot more weight when it's federal. It's a lot longer process and a lot more painful process if you're not going to be good to be involved with the federal system, because they've got a shit ton of money. They're not understaffed at all. They'll have enough people to send a team of 10 people to sit on your ass and watch you do everything all the time. Not to mention, you know, electronic surveillance. So yeah, fuck with them and break their rules, and they're not really bendy on that shit. So I think it was partially intimidation, because being arrested for, you know, unlawful, leaving of a riot is, you know, what the DA said, that they weren't interested in some of that shit anymore. It's just getting out of control. You're just picking on people now and using that to, you're wearing out your jail staff by arresting people on shit that should never be arrested for. So when the district attorney and all those guys come out and say, hey guys, whoa, that's not what we're here for, they don't listen. They do a workaround. Okay, well, you're not going to let us do it? Fine. Feds, come on, man. Come on in here and deputize us so that we can affect what you want us to do, even though our state has decided that that's not how we want to do things in this state. Regardless of whether you agree with it or not, that's what the state decided. That's what the district attorney decided by making that decision. You know, I don't have enough civics to know if the district attorney is elected or hired, but again, you know, look to the system in place. they're using workarounds to beat the controls that are supposed to be there to prevent things from being as skewed as they are. So you take that for what you want to. I'm going to scroll down. Do you see you as old school that help others? I'm old school. I was born in the 70s, man. I remember when the phones had the little circle on it and
Would you like to give us the name of those ones?
rotary phones. So yeah, I'm old school because when I was coming up, we fought and kicked it afterwards. You can lose a fight and live. Yeah, I'm old school because I have to consciously make an effort to keep current with the vernacular. I'm old school because the way that I think and the way that I speak aren't native anymore, that I've had to consciously change my worldview to keep up with what I believe. So yeah, that makes me, because I come from an era when you could say certain things and it was accepted. That's what that time thought was right. And so having to adjust, there are people right now who have never known a life that didn't have at least 3 pronouns involved in it for gender, or for gender. So, that makes me old school. If there's 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds running around that have never known not having those options as, how we daily refer to people, that indicates a different school, in my opinion. Do I help people? Whenever possible. Whether I provide a forum for people to exchange ideas safely or as safe as possible. If it's providing mutual aid when I'm streaming to people, which I do constantly, whenever safely, I got a half a foot in mutual aid. That's like I said earlier in the stream. When I started at the beginning of this protest cycle at the original George Floyd memorial, that night when we got downtown to the already going riot, we did nothing but run and help people, and for like 8 hours, constantly, nonstop, getting people out of tear gas. We had no masks, we had no gear, no one was prepped. So yeah, I help people all the time. Honestly, a good portion of my life has been neglecting me to take care of others' needs. So, it's kind of my MO to help other people, to a fault, honestly. One of the biggest things 2020 has taught me, other than, people really don't know themselves, do they, is self-care. Remembering to take care of me and my needs, that enables me to help other people without crashing. It's also part of the unlearning the addiction cycle, is understanding my triggers or the things that lead me to want to create such a severe headspace change that something like meth becomes an actual option. Not letting things get to that point, and understanding that you need to put a priority on things that prevent that. Because once you can, safely rule out the one thing, you can focus on where you're going more and less on dealing with where you've been. If you're about progress, we're all faulty creatures. We all make mistakes. It's just whether or not we're trying to be better or not anymore, and how tolerant you are of other people's journey and struggle to be better people. That's a fundamental thing. I got looking for the next question. You're going to be high in 2 more hits. That mean you did. You old. Oh, I've been high, Holmes. I like weed. It has positive effects on me, and
Mega C.
Mega C.
Boom.
Oh, see, I did that all wrong. My apologies. I did give it a good try, though. I did realize that Y meant something that, funky. I just didn't know what funky thing it meant.
Ask some more questions.
Don't forget to share the stream, host watch parties, post us in groups that you're all about. Let people know Streamworks. We're on Facebook. We got a website. We're on Periscope, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and we'll be coming to Mixcloud soon. So you'll be able to catch us there too. We're going to be definitely trying to, reach as many people who want to be reached as possible. So definitely find us on all your favorite outlets.
We're at our hour.
All right, it's been an hour. You guys are awesome. Let's go ahead and get a couple quick more questions in, and I'll try to definitely give speedier answers. What up?
Katie Dub.
What?
I was going to say Katie Dub those questions.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget to put a K, D, and a W in front of each question so that I can visually see that it's a question, because I got people scanning the things for me, the chats and stuff. And if you ask a question and I missed it, re-ask it. It's cool. Thank you, Jeremy. I just try, man. I'm not. You're welcome, Adam. I see you. I just try to keep it real. None of us are perfect. Just try to be better people. But throw those questions up, guys. Who's got some questions? This is Kevin Williams with Streamworks. We're in Portland, Oregon. We will be streaming later from the Kenton Direct Action. You can catch us on the aforementioned platforms. Boom. Michael Liskey or Liskey? I'm going to go with Liskey. You almost got it right. KDW, KWD. That works. What are your thoughts on agitators hijacking the protests from the original message of the BLM? Now, a good portion of people think it's mostly about destruction and riots. Well, what are my thoughts on agitators? So that's actually a tougher question than you probably realize, or maybe you do realize it and I'm just not, giving you enough credit. Agitators are people who cause conflict. That's the description of agitator I'm going to run with for my answer. You can make a really good case that conflict is exactly what is needed right now. You can make a historical case that prolonged conflict spurs change. The truth of the matter is you can also make an argument that it does not. So, generally what that tells me is that, like with any tool, sometimes it's applicable and sometimes it's not. I don't possess the tools to really assess beforehand whether or not this is the right time for that or not. I don't know how one would even begin to assess that. With that being said, if one prefaces this kind of thing to a battle of attrition, and it's a long game, then ramping up things over time is ultimately your background plan. As the pressure increases over time, you don't just, you get to the point you need to affect change. And you don't have to use gross measures like, say, nuking a city to make them stop going to war. You can, in theory, say that it's a part of the big picture and a necessary ingredient in the recipe of protest. The question really becomes what percentage of all of protesting should be conflict-based. And I think when most people break it down like I just did, you come to the conclusion that for some people that number is 0, but for a lot of people, depending on where you are in the cycle, that number changes. So it's not a fixed number, because as time goes on, more things become revealed, whether it's to the good or to the bad. So you know, on one hand, I don't really want to see anyone get hurt. You know, if we could stop it now and no one else got hurt and affect some change for the better, you know, that sounds optimal. Do I think it's realistic that no one's going to get hurt in the process of protesting against systematic oppression? That's not realistic at all. And if you look around, people are dying for less worthy of a cause. You know, people are dying just because they look different. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those you wish it wasn't necessary. You know, you wish people didn't feel that that's where we were at. You wish things were different, but to be realistic, they're not, and that is where people are at. And you know, do I believe a portion of them have ulterior motives or different motives or conflicting motives? Yes, I do. I don't know what percentage of them do or have, but I do know that everyone out there ain't out there for the same reason and for the same end result. And, you know, there's no way to really police and control that without becoming that which you're fighting against, in my opinion. That's my opinion as of right now. I don't believe in becoming the thing that I'm fighting against in order to fight against it. That seems to defeat the purpose. So, you know, the people who are doing that, you know, that weakens everything by becoming the thing that you fight against in order, you know, for your ulterior motives. That sucks. You know. I got a Twitch question. I'm about to check it out here. Who we got? Fun with Nihilism again, or is it the red one?
No, yeah.
All right, it's a repeat.
I know he didn't. You didn't. He repeated it for you.
Oh, my bad. I got you. Any word on whether or not the Northern Lights are out tonight? I hear there's a chance they'd be visible in PDX tonight. I got no word on that. I'll have the mod look that up for you. It is clear here. So visibly, with the weather we have currently, I guess if it shows, we have our best shot. I was out earlier streaming, and the air's clear and the sky's clear. It's actually a shade of blue I'm not used to seeing. I don't know if that's because of the smoke or the cleansing of the smoke. I don't really know. I do know we got some funky ass weather patterns in the Northwest coming up, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But no, I wasn't aware. I definitely will keep my eyes open when I'm out tonight, and I'll definitely Google search some shit as soon as I'm done with this, because you know, that shit's dope.
You can do one more thing.
Catherine, with the very long name. Okay, Catherine. Oh, I don't even have to look. Okay, so this is funny. Like 9 times out of 10, people with hyphenated long names with middle names are Canadians. It fucks me up. Right? No, for real. And I didn't see the flag at the bottom of your post, and I was thinking, damn, that's a long-ass Canadian name. And I looked down, and there's the fucking flag. Boom. I love my Canadian. Our assistant admin is from Canada for Streamworks. I got peeps in Canada. I got love for you guys. But that shit, it's like it's trending to be Canadian with a hyphenated long-ass name, and I love it. But now I'm going to address your question. And I want you guys to throw up a whole bunch of hearts in the channel for Canadians right now. Huh?
Last question.
This is last question? Yeah. This is my last question, guys. And I got to wrap shit up because we got some other shit to do for you and then for me. Like this tank top, like my little fuzzy chest. All right. Throw some hearts up for Canada. And we'll address this last Canadian question of the day. What is the final result that BLM is wanting? And do you really think abolishing the police is really the right answer? I'm not for abolishing the police, first of all. I will say that everyone in the Streamworks collective does not agree on everything on every point. That's what being a collective means. But we overlap on enough of the key ones that allows us to exist favorably and beneficially. So, with that being said, I am a defund the police type person. I believe that if we raise our requirements to become an officer, we force them to educate themselves before becoming an officer in the areas that we need them to operate primarily, and not just military training or restraint training or, there's more that needs to be done on the front end for our police force to act the way that the community prefers them to act in each encounter that they have. I also believe that we don't need as many police as we have, that the money can be better spent making our police force better trained and better equipped to handle the things that they do handle, and then spending the freed up money on the other end to help prevent the stuff we're just stockpiling weapons and military gear to combat. You don't need to roll in with, all that shit on, calls that you shouldn't be going to, in the first place. It's a big, complicated thing. I will take a shortcut and say, if you're interested on how defund the police works, and you would like a easy to reference, short, simple, 20-minute answer, John Oliver, who I'm sure most of you have heard of, has a show. And if you Google the Defund the Police episode, it is an episode that he dedicated the whole show. The whole entire show is dedicated to what defund the police means or is meant to mean. And I often use that video as an intro to people who have the wrong idea about what defund the police means and how sustainable it actually really is, to letting people know, in case you're wondering, we have a living, real, current example of defund the police working in the United States right now, and you probably didn't even know. In Jersey, of all places, New Jersey. You remember that state? Yeah, they got a city, and their fraud rate for their officers was so high that the only solution was to scrub everybody. So they did. Then they also took the time to realize that they needed to change the requirements for becoming an officer. So they took that opportunity to do that, and they upped it. So you're not just a GED with a pensions for security. You're now a college educated, minimally required blah, 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 to become an officer in these areas that suited what the city needed. And then they started the rehire process and filled their less than full force with better quality people for the job that they're actually being asked to do, and freed up a shit ton of money because they could do a better job with an appropriate amount of people and not be overstaffed because you're trying to use a Phillips screwdriver on a flathead normal, it's just you got the right tool for the right job is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, check out that episode and start there if you really have questions. I'm not as eloquent, I don't think, as he is in breaking it down, and the fundamentals are all absolutely correct, in that video. And I highly recommend anyone checking it out. It is at the core of what I believe to be the way to go, honestly. I don't think that all cops are bad, but I do think that all cops are bastards for their complicity. And I do think the system needs to change to allow for there to be a system where cops can do what they're supposed to do and be the people that they are, not be held back by a system that perpetuates not doing the right thing at the right time and protecting people are doing the wrong thing at the wrong time or the wrong thing. That has to go. That's not okay. Why is that field wielding so much power with so little requirement to get there? That's not okay. They can accidentally kill a life in the course of their job, and they have less requirements than it takes to become a flagger on a freeway. You know what I mean? It requires more training to become a beautician or a flagger, or, it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to give something that much authority and power, it needs to not be accessible to the lowest common denominator of education. You know what I mean? I want people who are carrying a weapon that can kill me to have some fucking education beyond 3 or 4 years of high school. I do, and that's where I sit with that, and I hope that answers your question, and I hope that you guys got some insight and some real talk, and I hope that you guys are with us.
Platforms one more time.
What?
Platforms one more time.
Got you. I hope that you guys stick with the round. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel that we have formed in the last couple days. Catch us on Periscope. You can catch us on Twitch. You can catch us on Twitter. You can catch us on Instagram. And, of course, Facebook. We have a group, Streamworks, and a page that you can follow. The group has areas for discussion, current content, shared content from other people, discussions, polls. Definitely the place to have a discussion with people that don't necessarily agree with you, but are still willing to talk to you like you're a fucking person, because that's what we're about. Our mods moderate the group and the page chats and the live streams off of Streamworks and Twitch. I want to shout out to Woke. If you guys know anything about woke.net, them's the peeps right there. Catch them on Twitch as well. We recently have some news to announce real soon regarding our Twitch status and some things like that. So look forward to that. Definitely throw 3 hearts up in the channel right now. Just because we want to do that, and we want Kevin to have a good day and a safe day, and we want you to have a good day and a safe day, and we'll catch you later. We'll catch you later tonight. Thank you.